This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and today we're taking a look at the F-Stop AJNA 37L, which I've been testing for the past 3 weeks. If you find this video helpful, make sure you subscribe so we can continue making content like this to help you travel smarter. Let's dive in. So as you can probably already tell, there is a ton going on here, so I'm just going to dive right in. So this is the AJNA, and it has a DuraDiamond nylon material. So this DuraDiamond is just, a very lightweight, durable, and water-resistant nylon material that was specially made for F-Stop, and we've seen it on other stuff of theirs in the past. I don't know that we have any in the studio here, but it just feels really good. It's like feels like diamond ripstop on steroids. As I said, it's incredibly lightweight for all of the durability and water resistance it has, and no issues with water getting inside of this, even on actually multiple walks in the rain. We've had quite a bit of rain here lately, and I took it out and tested it. I never had any issues with water permeating this shell, which is great. So as you can see here, we've also got some water resistant zippers here. All of the zippers are from YKK, and most of the exterior ones are either really big and beefy, as you see up here with this zipper there, or they have an AquaGuard finish, so they too are, protected from the elements. Before I move too far into the hardware, I should note that the padding on the back panel here is bloom padding, so it is made from algae, which is a bit better for the environment, which is kind of a cool feature if you ask me. We've also got a lot of the buckles and hardware are T6 aluminum, which is more durable than your typical plastic buckle, which we still do have some plastic buckles on here, but in areas where you wouldn't want it to break, like obviously you see it on the hip belt here. It can be a little bit loud, which I don't know where the other one is right now, when they hit each other, but you do get that extra durability, which I dig, and you also have some other places here, which we will get into. But looking at the pack overall, as you can see, it's very large. It feels bigger than a 37L, but you can really pack a lot of gear in here, so can't complain too much. But we've got 3 colorways to work with. Let me make sure I get these right: Cypress, Magma, and Anthracite. So you have this greenish color, you have a orangish reddish color, and then you have a black. So I kind of like all of them. I'm not huge on the reddish one because it kind of makes you stand out a little bit. But if you're into that kind of thing, it might be perfect for you. On the front here, we have these elastic loops on the top and bottom these ones on the bottom here can kind of be hidden under here if you don't want to use them. These are good for like an ice pick or a trekking pole. And we do have various attachment points around this pack that can be used for different things. On the sides here, we've got water bottle pockets on either side. These actually aren't great for water bottles. As you can see, with a little bit of effort, my Nalgene comes tumbling out, but you can stow a tripod there, or pretty much anything you want to stick in there, and then you can get these gatekeeper straps here. So these don't come with all of the combos, but you can get them with some of them, and you can use this to attach larger items like tripods and stuff like that. You could even, put your water bottle on there if you have a place to hook it like this. But moving up here, we've got a top handle. So it does have a little bit of padding, which makes it a little bit more comfortable when you do have to grab it, but this thing can get so heavy it doesn't help that much, but the padding is appreciated. We've also got a little H2O thing here, so with a little bit of hook and loop fastener there. So if you want to put a bladder inside there, you can have water access through there. And just overall very happy with how durable this pack is, but as you can see, it is pretty heavy. So moving on to the harness system here, as I mentioned earlier, this back panel has bloom padding, so it is a little bit better for the environment. It is very stiff. It doesn't really have much cushion to it, but there is obviously padding there when you really push into it, and it's pretty comfortable on your back. If you're used to something more cushy, you might not like it so much, but we do have air channels here to promote airflow, and this mesh is pretty breathable, so I do dig that. It does feel a little bit big on smaller frames though, so if you have a smaller frame, you might not find it super comfortable. The shoulder straps here are very malleable, as you can see. They do have some padding, and they do have that same mesh, so they breathe an all right amount. Got load lifters here at the top to spread out the weight. On the sternum strap here, we have a whistle, which I really dig because this is, an adventure backpack. So if you need to, let someone know where you are or alert somebody or an animal or something like that, you can blow that. It isn't on a rail, so you do have to just put it in one of these. I believe it is 5 spots there. And you can also just take it off if you don't want to use it. You could also use the extras here to, add extra gear, carabiner, whatever you want. So these do have the metal adjusters down here. Moving on to this hip belt here. It is a little bit thicker than the shoulder straps, I think. That might just be in my head, but it is a bit thicker. We have a ton of attachment loops down here on either side. So we've got, looks like 8 on either side, so that's 16 attachment loops. And then they both have a small pocket right here, which is nice. You could throw a memory card in there just for quick use, or just something really small. As you can see, it's just not that big. But overall, pretty happy with how comfortable this harness system is, especially for how lightweight it is compared to the heaviness of the backpack. So I am all suited up now, and as you can see, this backpack is very large. So I am just a little bit over 6 foot, and this thing takes up most of my torso, and it even, like, I kind of feel like I'm hitting my head on it sometimes. Right now I don't have as much stowed in that top portion, so I'm not hitting, my ponytail's not hitting it so much, but it is a very large backpack, especially for 37 liters. So this thing, obviously, you know, it is a 37 liter pack, but it's designed to fit your camera gear well, which sometimes can take up, I think, a little bit more space. But I have to say, this is one of the most comfortable backpacks I've worn in general, not just camera backpacks. So I have pretty much my entire camera kit in here right now, and I feel like I could wear this for most of the day without issue. I will say this hip belt does take a little bit of getting used to, especially with the metal. It never comes undone though. I don't typically have issues with hip belts coming undone on me, but this thing's just not coming undone unless I purposely undo it because of that aluminum design. And it does take some getting used to, as I said, but I think it is better in the long run. So moving into the secondary compartments, we actually have quite a few to talk about in addition to the main compartment. So let's dive in. So as you can see, we've got 2 zippers up here. So this one is to the main compartment, and this one is for the secondary compartment, which we're about to go over. The only reason I mention that is because sometimes I forget which is which, and I'll open the wrong one and end up in the wrong compartment because they really are just right next to each other. That's probably just me not paying enough attention more than it is the fault of the pack. So moving into this top pocket, this is where I stow my packable rain jacket just because it's right there on top, and when I sling over the bag, I can get to this pretty quickly, and it's just always there, and it fits, which I think is nice. Inside here, we have this little key leash, which I've actually been calling a key nub because it is just so short. But at the end of the day, if it's not long enough to be used while the keys are on it, I don't really care how long it is. So it could be this long or it could be double the size. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna have to take the keys off to open my door anyways. So save some material and gets out of the way, which I dig. So we've got a zippered compartment inside of here, 2 zippers on it. I'll move that over there for a second, as you can see. So I like to leave these in the middle most of the time because then there is a little seam down the middle here. So this is 2 pockets with 1 zipper, but 2 zipper heads. So pop these open, you can see that it's separated there. I've got my phone on one side over here, and then my wallet on the other. So that's typically what I put in there, but I think this is designed for lens filters because this is a soft material here. I guess it's not necessarily designed for that, but it's good to be used for that. So it does have that soft material, which also works for your phone or something like that. If you have a plus size phone, it might not fit inside of here. This is just a standard iPhone 11 and it fit inside, but I dig that attention to detail of, you know, the soft material there. So whether you're putting your phone there, or you're putting a filter there, or something you don't want to break in there, you can do that, and it will, you know, has a soft companion. The 2 zipper design does take a little bit of getting used to, but no real issues on that. So we have 2 identical side pockets, one on either side here. The access is on this side here, 1 big long AquaGuard zipper. So I'll pop that open real quick. I have my tripod stuffed in there. So I also could put this in the water bottle pocket and use the gatekeeper straps, but it fit in the pocket, so that's where I stowed it. This is a pretty small travel tripod. A lot of them probably wouldn't fit like that, but it is nice to have that option if you do have a smaller tripod. So there is a smaller little pocket inside of here with a hook and loop fastener. So you could put, you know, various accessories in there, and the pocket goes all the way down to here, but that little mesh pocket only goes to about right here. So it's a pretty small pocket. So maybe lens filters or just something small that isn't huge, and then the pocket goes up to here. So it is a pretty tall pocket. So again, if you do have a smaller travel tripod, you might be able to fit it inside. So on the front here, we have another secondary compartment. And as you can see, I don't have anything in there right now, but it's just because I didn't really have a use for this pocket. So it's very tall, but it doesn't have a ton of depth, and I didn't really have anything big and flat to put inside of there. I don't know exactly what you would put in there, but photographers have a million different accessories for a million different things. So I'm certain some of you have something you'd put in there, and if you do, drop it down in the comments. I am curious to see what you'd say. There is a zippered compartment inside of here, and this is kind of a small pocket. It goes from about right here to right here, and it's about that wide. So you could stow like a passport in here or something small like that, or again, a million different accessories that different photographers use for different things. So you could stow something like that in there, and it kind of keeps it out of the hubbub of this big pocket. You know, books, notebooks, you can even put a tablet in there as long as it has a case on it. And one last secondary compartment to talk about is on the bottom here. So this bottom boot has a extra layer of strong material and waterproof material. So if you set it down, it's not going to get wet inside. And we do have this pocket here, and I just stowed the AJNA rain cover inside of here, so it's, you know, it's not going to get wet in there because it does have that extra protection, and I always know where it is. So if it starts downpouring, I can put this on quickly because I can grab it quickly. So I'm moving into the main compartment. There's actually two ways to access it. One is from the back panel and one is from the top. So I'm going to start with the back panel entry method because this is where you get your camera gear from. So as you can see, that big zipper runs around the outside of the padded part of the back panel. So I'm going to unzip that, and it kind of just flips open like this. So this is the ICU, or I can't remember the exact name for it. I always want to say in-camera unit, but it's something along those lines. I'm just having a total brain fart right now. But I really like the design of this because you have camera gear here, and then you have this accessory panel here. So I don't use a ton of accessories, but if I did, this would be perfect for them because this is, I believe, all welded stuff. So these are pretty much very water resistant pockets. So if water were to somehow get into this compartment, it's going to stay out of here. So we have a little ID window here. So if you wanted to put your ID or just an identification in case someone finds your bag, or maybe you need some kind of permit to do what you are doing or credential, you could put that inside of there so you don't need to lose, you won't lose it. And you can also see it because it is a clear window there, as you can see my finger. There's a little magnet pocket below that you could stow flat items in, and there's a little bit of padding in this pocket. So if you have a filter that has a case on it that isn't the most durable case, you can stow that in there, and you have a little bit of extra protection because of that padding. We have a nice AquaGuard, or I don't know exactly if this is AquaGuard. It does feel a little bit different. Zipper there to keep water out, and this is clear, so whatever you stow inside of here, you're gonna be able to see. So if there's something that you don't want to forget or you want to make sure it's in there, you can see what's inside there so you can grab it. Close that back up, and then we have 3 of these magnet pockets up here. So these are good for SD cards, or if you have different kinds of memory cards, you can stow that inside of there, and it just, you're never gonna not close it because it just closes itself. Like, it just pops back down like that. They're easy to open, easy to get to. So if you need to change memory cards quickly, you can do that. But moving to the ICU here, there's a bunch of different sizes of ICUs that you can get. I believe this is the medium slope ICU. So depending on how much camera gear you want to bring or how much extra stuff you want to bring, because the smaller the ICU, the more room you have on top to stow gear. So it's kind of like a balancing act. You need to know your kit and how you plan to upgrade your kit, because this is an expensive bag. So if you're like, I'm planning on buying a couple lenses in the next year, you need to plan for that. So that way it fits in the ICU and you don't have to go buy another one or buy a different backpack, whatever. So this thing has zippers that go around it, and as you can see, I don't have it closed all the way right now. So there's 2 zippers, and just to make it easier on myself, because these corners are kind of hard to get around when this is inside of here, I leave the 2 zippers there so that way I can just zip down on each side instead of having to go around those corners. Then also my gear's not coming out because of that. So this pops open like this, and you can kind of shove this down in the bottom while you're actively using it so it's out of your way. And as you can see, I've got quite a bit of gear inside here, and there's still a lot of room in here. So I've got a Fuji X-T3 with a Sigma lens, a longer Fuji lens, I'm not even sure which one this is. This is my wide angle lens, and then another 18mm lens in there with my Instax Mini, and I have 2 big areas to spare, and there's room on top as well. So really dig this ICU, but this is not a review of the ICU, so I'm gonna put this back and zip this up a little bit and get in to the rest of this pack. They have a really good descriptor of what each ICU holds and which ICUs this camera backpack can work with on F-Stop's page. So check that out to know what camera ICU you should go with this backpack. But earlier I mentioned this big zipper. We got a nice fabric welt to cover it when not in use, to kind of protect it from water. Popping it open now. So this kind of flat, so when there's a bunch of gear in here, this thing kind of just like flaps really hard. I took the gear out of there when we were going over it, but that's something to note. If you have heavy gear in here, it's going to kind of flop like this. So there is a zippered compartment here. found that I didn't really need to use that very much because I typically am using a lot of organizers and pouches and stuff like that. So all my small stuff was inside of here, but it is nice to have that option if you aren't, you don't have a pouch or you just want to put something in here quickly without finding the pouch. So I'm gonna take this stuff out of here real quickly just so you can see what's going on in here. So there is the top of the ICU. I had all my gear stacked on top of there. And something to note is that if you do have small items and they're loose, they can fall down the sides of this pretty easily, and then you're gonna struggle to find them because they're just kind of lost. So using organizers and packing cubes and stuff like that is very helpful. Another thing to note is the smaller the ICU that you use, it is, obviously more room here. If you use a larger one, there's gonna be less room here. From this angle, you can also access the metal frame sheet and take that out if you want to. But overall, very happy with this pack, how durable, water resistant it is, and also just how much gear I can fit inside of here. So there you have it, the F-Stop AJNA 37 liter. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you on the next one.